to Game Planning Tips presented by Lawrence First and Goal. Each week we share ideas that help you refine your process and sharpen your edge as you prepare for the week ahead. Today's episode highlights three coaches who approach preparation from different angles but share the same goal: clarity and confidence when the whistle blows. On offense, we'll hear from Nate Milne, head coach at Muhlenberg College, on how to build a successful opening series. On defense, Preston Hadley, defensive coordinator at Northern Colorado, shares how learning, theory, and collaboration create smarter, faster players. And on special teams, Kaysen Bicknell, special teams analyst at the University of Florida, teaches how to read the returner's hands to gain an edge in punt coverage. Let's start on offense with Nate Milne from Muhlenberg College. For Coach Milne, the opening series sets the tone for everything that follows. He builds what he calls a loose script, a flexible plan that defines what you'll call in early key situations without locking you into a rigid list. It's about eliminating panic, playing faster, and confirming what you studied all week. In the segment, Coach Milne shares how he scripts his openers, breaks self-scout tendencies, gets his best players involved early, and uses what he does best to start fast. Here's Coach Milne.
Right. Our loose script here. We've got a couple of slides that we want to talk about here. And some of these are in no particular order for us. We call it a loose script because I'm going to get off schedule at some time, either based on down and distance or based on field zone. I don't like saying, I think guys that say, oh, I script the first 15 plays. And I always go, well, what about 2nd and 25 when you have a personal foul? You're not going to just go with your inside zone play to set up 3rd and 100, right? We talked about defining efficiency and making sure you gain half the distance there in those situations. So the first play of the game is obvious. We want every person on the team, every person on the sideline, every coach to know exactly what it's going to be. This first 3rd down is more than just one play. What's your first 3rd and short? What's your first 3rd and medium? What's your first 3rd and long? And so you need to have all of those ready on there. So again, it's not just a 10-play drive each and every single week. You may end up in all of these things. And I like this because then it allows you to play fast and there's no panic. If you know it's 3rd and 1 and you're going to run the duo play, just call the duo play. Don't second guess yourself. It's what you do best. If you're an inside zone team, do what you do best. If it's 3rd and medium, you gain the first down and now it's 3rd medium, just go to the next 3rd down and medium call right there. What you were going to call first if it happened. It's your best thing. You call mesh, then call the mesh play and know exactly what you're going to do. And so when it's a big moment, you're on the road, the crowd is roaring, and you go, here we go, boys. This is what we're going to do. And most of your team knows it. Your coaches know it. And more importantly, you as a play caller, you've got that highlighted on your call script to say, hey, here we go. What do we do best? Let's get going on this. First shot play. Bill Walsh and some others always had theories on shots and tricks. If you throw your first big punch, there's a chance maybe your opponent does it on trick plays. Because they feel like you're prepared for it and so on and so forth. So we want to call shot plays, those 2nd downs, those backed up, those 3rd downs, maybe in our go zone. And then when we get to the red zone, a must call formation. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. It's maybe what you do best. Maybe it's something that gives them trouble in there. And then this is critical. Get your best player the football. I can't tell you how many times we go into our breakdown after a game and our defensive staff goes, God, they waited so long to get this young man involved. And we all have those receivers where they need the ball early and often in order to really get dialed into the football game. Or your tailback needs 2 or 3 carries, or your quarterback's got to complete a pass. For us, it was our tight end this season. And so in many of these situations, you're going to see our tight end getting the ball early and often on these first drives. And then again, if you call these things, you can see it's more than 3 plays on here. You're probably going to gain a first down and you're probably going to gain a bunch of yards. And so hopefully you've flipped the field if you haven't scored on this opening drive of either the first half or the second half in there. Self-scout, your opponent scout, we think your self-scout is just as critical as your opponent's scout. Do they have a tendency? Opening drives are a great, or do you have a tendency? Opening drives are a great time to break them. This past season, we went our first 2 games of the year, and we did our self-scout for week 3, and we had 3 or 4 100%ers. And so week 3, we went out there and we said, all right, we're breaking these. We knew that we had 100% tendencies out of certain formations or backfield sets. And so if we knew it, we knew our opponents knew it. And so it's a great opportunity for you to break them and catch your opponent off guard. Mix up your formations, confirm your scout was good on your opening drive, right? If the defense has 100% tendency, if you go nub end sets, if you go condensed sets, if you go motion to 3-by-1 and they're going to check or roll their coverage when you do that, you need to confirm that, and you can't just assume that that stuff is going to be good. So you need to have all of these things lined up. Your coaches in the booth should know this kind of stuff. If you've got young coaches, new coaches on staff, the more that you can have these things dialed in and teed up, it helps your coaches give you the information you need when calling plays later on in the game. I love attacking teams with unique formations, and I love breaking tendencies that we may have. And I love, as a play caller, I love setting up tendencies as well. I think that can be a powerful thing as a play caller for you to say, every time we motion to 3-by-1, we run the ball. And then week 3 or week 4, you go to 3-by-1 and you run the naked play back, which you'll see on here for us. And so these things are critical for us. Last but not least, before we get into a little bit of film here, do what you do best. I can't state this over and over and over again. At Muhlenberg, our bread and butter is going to be our play action pass. You know, and I know, and our opponents know, at some point in time on our opening drive, you're going to get some form of play action pass for us, mostly the keeper game and the naked game. But we think that if you've got 3 days, and we've been doing this for 8 weeks plus preseason, there's no way your scout team can do it better than we do. And so let's not trick ourselves. You're in a big game, you're in a championship game. Let's not trick ourselves in trying to run something unique, something different, something that you've only run for 4 or 5 times. You think about, you watch the San Francisco 49ers. The first play of the game was a play action pass. And that's been a staple for Shanahan for forever and ever and ever. And it's the first play of the game. You know the Chiefs had worked on it, and you know that they're ready for it. But when you come out, the 49ers were able to execute it better because that's what they hang their hat on. What are your best formations? Do you have unique sets? See what your opponent is going to do. We love bunch and we love condensed sets at Muhlenberg, and going from 3-by-1 bunch to 2-by-2 bunch and vice versa. And so we want to test them to see what their adjustments are going to be in that, because you can't defend everything is our philosophy. If you're going to point it on our bunch stuff, we're going to crack and run the ball to the edge. If you're going to play outside leverage, we're going to run the duo play and try to get inside there. And if you're going to overload the front side, we're going to run counter and naked back to the boundary. And so we feel as though our calls will then call themselves based on what our opponent is doing. But I can't know what they're doing if I don't call my favorite formations early in the game. Don't trick yourselves, guys, when you're running these sets and when you're getting out there in this. It is 60 minutes of football, and you know what you do best, and it's your job to try to figure out what the defense is going to do. What's your best personnel group for the week, right? We all deal with injuries. We all deal with certain things. We are not a 10 personnel team. We're not an 11 personnel team. Our players compete at a really high level. And there are certain weeks where if we've got two great tight ends like we had last year, you're going to see two tight end sets over and over and over again. And so we may be in 12 personnel for an entire drive because that's who our best 11 are. If you've got two quarterbacks, I don't know, find a way to get two quarterbacks on the field. If you've got two running backs, but you say you're a spread offense, you better figure out how to get two running backs on the football field when your top three receivers go down. All of those things are critically important to have your situations. And then last but not least, early in the game, and especially an opening drive, have a wrinkle, right? That's that counter to your 100%ers. We run the ball out of this set, and you've got to give them something. And when you show them the run to the strong side and you run the naked back to the other side, what is your next play going to be? Build layers into your offense. All of those things are critically important for you guys out there.
A great opening drive on offense builds rhythm. On defense, the same principle applies, but through learning and preparation. Our next guest, Preston Hadley, defensive coordinator at Northern Colorado, brings a unique approach to coaching and teaching. His philosophy, called Theory Z, focuses on collaboration between coach and player, turning meetings and practices into learning environments where players teach each other. He connects this to the learning pyramid, a model that measures retention through active participation in peer-to-peer coaching. Here's Coach Hadley on how he builds smarter, faster defenses through how he teaches.
Segueing into teaching and learning, the approach that I believe in taking is in teaching and learning is it's called Theory Z. And what Theory Z is you're basically collaborating with the people who are actually doing the work or doing the learning. You collaborate with them to come up with a solution or to come up with a decision. So the ones who are actually doing the work are actually involved in the decision making. So for example, let's just say there's a jeans company that is not doing well, and so they bring in an outside source to come and evaluate and really gut the inside and figure out why things aren't going well. The first place they'll go to, they're not going to go to the CEO. They're going to go to the ones who are actually making the jeans. They're going to go to the ones who are actually doing the work, because those people are going to have insights that nobody else has and offer those insights. And so this same theory applies in coaching. If there's a certain technique that you want your players to play, get their feedback and say, how's this working for you? And collaborate with them. And maybe not that the technique you're teaching is not good, but maybe it doesn't fit them, and they're going to know, give them a few options of different techniques they can play, and then which one can they execute, and so that's just an example. There's a lot of different ways that you can use Theory Z in the way that you teach with your players. So this here is called the learning pyramid. And so we also, as coaches and on our staff, we reference this a lot as well. Us as coaches, and what I'm doing right now, this is the least effective form of learning, which is lecturing. And you can see in this has been researched, but lecturing after about 15 to 20 minutes, the retention level goes down. They only retain about 5% of what's actually being taught. As you look through this, reading, demonstration, discussion, practice doing, the retention rate goes way up. And then the most effective form of learning right here, where they actually retain the most, is teaching others. And I think as coaches, we've all experienced this from being as teachers, that as I teach other people, I'm the one who's actually learning the most. And so it's really about providing opportunities for your players to teach each other. We call it the peer-to-peer learning. And so some strategies that we use in our teaching and learning is the concept of a flipped classroom, where we'll record our installs and we'll push it out to the players through the software that we use, and with the video and the voiceover and examples and the playbook, and everything's digitalized. And we send it out to the players, and then we have them come to position meetings with questions. And really, this is what the world, like teachers and professors, are doing, is they're actually pushing the lessons out, and then the students actually come and just discuss. And maybe some those who are coaching at the high school level have a lot of experience with doing this. But it's also about providing immediate feedback at practice, and then finding ways to utilize technology. There's so much out there now that can really enhance our ability to, as teachers, to help our players learn. So shifting gears here, I'm going to get into some video, and again, this video might be a little bit choppy. So just in building this defense, now that we've talked about the culture, now it's about, okay, getting into some more of the football stuff. But so these are our what we call our critical stats, or this is how we win. These aren't our goals, but just things that have a strong point of emphasis, which is points per possession, stop rate. Stop rates kind of come to light the last 5 to 7 years in football, where your stop rate is really the number of possessions that you have divided by the number of stops. And a stop is anytime you get off the field by forcing a punt, by generating a takeaway, or a turnover on downs, any type of stop. And so I actually said that backwards, but you actually divide the number of stops divided by the number of total possessions. And so really nationally, if you have 10 possessions in a game and you get 7 stops, you're at a 70% stop rate. And a 70% stop rate, at the FBS level, puts you right in that top 25 defense as from a stop rate perspective. But our other critical stats is disrupting the quarterback through QB hurries, through sacks and hits on the quarterback, stopping the run, playing great red zone defense, and then winning the middle 8, and then just making the offense one-dimensional. So before we even get into some of the fundamentals of playing defense, I think it's important that you teach your players, you teach your team actually how to practice by setting a standard, by being showing them what being a good partner looks like, how you steal reps, when others are receiving coaching points, listen to them, the peer-to-peer learning, and then coaching down the line. So here are some examples. So this is some video back when I was coaching at BYU. So here's some examples. We're talking about being a good partner. On the right side, you got a bad partner. Okay, I'll run this a few times. Okay, you've got a bad partner where he's just getting ragdolled here. On the right side, he's just getting ragdolled here, not giving much resistance. And then on the right side, you see him gaining ground. So just it's a little choppy, but I think it's important. You got to talk to your players about this, about like, hey, you need to be a good partner. Okay, here's a couple other examples. Okay, stealing reps, right? This player right here, he's next in line, and we're working hand placement in this drill and snapping off and releasing off of a block. And you see this player stealing the rep before he went. Okay, here's some more recent examples of stealing reps, right? Guys going through the footwork, going through the progression before their actual rep, before they actually get into it. Here's another one, same guy. Then by the time he goes, you can see him, and he's already taken 3 reps now. So you got to preach these things, all right? I want to talk about 36 right here, okay? Here, we're just working just initial footwork from the backer at the backer level. Okay, we got the guy next in line. He's stealing a couple extra reps, just mirror stepping with this. Okay, and so I think it's important to point these out and teaching your guys how to actually practice effectively. Some examples of peer-to-peer learning. The drill's going on. You got an older player teaching a younger player in the back, right? And now the one who's really benefiting, like we said, the guy who's actually doing the teaching.
Finally, we turn to special teams, where precision and anticipation define the outcome of every snap. Kaysen Bicknell, special teams analyst at the University of Florida, breaks down one of the smallest but most impactful details in punt coverage, the hands read of the returner. By teaching gunners the key to off returners' hands, not just the ball, Coach Bicknell's coverage units react faster, close space more efficiently, and create more turnover opportunities. In this clip, he explains how his hand reads drill trains players to recognize fair catch, accepting, and tracking hands reads in real time. Here's Coach Bicknell.
All right. The last thing that I want to talk about tonight and discuss is hand reads. This is something that, we've kind of been building over the last couple of years. It's something that has really started to show up for us. I think it has been really good. We're still in a phase where we're still kind of trying to develop this drill a little bit, but it's been growing, and I think it's something that a lot of people have asked me about. I've shared with a lot of people have liked, so I would like to share that tonight. But we're going to work our hand reads drill. So these are our gunners on punt. These are our tackles on punt. Even let our guards get a little bit of work at it. They don't get as much as the gunners and the tackles, but this is something that has really benefited us, and just want to share this with you guys tonight. So we got to understand there's 3 types of hand reads that we can get as we're covering punts. Okay, we can get a fair catch hand read, we can get an accepting hand read, and we can get a tracking hand read. Typically, when these guys are tracking punts, 85, 90% of the time, their hands are down below their waist while they're tracking, and then boom, they shoot their hands up to accept it. Okay, so we teach these 3 different hand reads, and then we practice these 3 different hand reads. All right, so what we want to make sure that we understand is in the fair catch hand read, if we get an opportunity, we want to try to push a blocker into the returner. If we get that fair catch and there's somebody who's keeping their ball man leverage and we're still running down, we want to take that defender and that blocker, and we want to run him into the returner. It's completely legal for us to do that. We want to take the air out of it, meaning we want to press to that near hip. We're going to shimmy to that near hip, eyes to the hip, and we always got to anticipate muffs. All right, as soon as we get an accepting hand read, as soon as we see those hands go up into an accepting mode, we want to accelerate to the near hip and take a shot on that returner. And as long as these guys are still tracking, their hands are below their waist, we still want to try to push any blocker into the returner. We still want to push to that near hip, take the air out. We want to shimmy to that near hip, and we still want to be in a position where we can anticipate a muff. That's what we're trying to get accomplished here. We're trying to regain the ball if we possibly can, or get that returner down as quick as possible by taking a shot.
3 coaches, 3 different approaches, 1 shared message. Clarity creates confidence. From scripting your openers to teaching defense through collaboration to training anticipation on special teams, each of these ideas sharpens your preparation and your performance. This episode of Game Planning Tips was presented by Lawrence First and Goal Foundation, supporting pediatric brain tumor research and families affected by cancer through football. To learn more, donate, or register for this year's coaching clinic series, visit lawrencefirstandgoal.org. Thanks for listening, and best of luck as you build your game plan for the week ahead. We're proud to partner with the best companies that serve coaches. For your in-game analytics, go to modernfootball.com. When you win it all this year, Signature Championship Rings provides you a great design within your budget. Use Story of the Season for a modern version of the media guide and a way to raise $20,000 to $40,000 for your program. Go to storyoftheseason.com. Sideline communication is critical. Our partner, the Headset app, has figured out how to do that at a fraction of the cost. Check out what they do at theheadsetapp.com. Go Route offers you a way to call plays in games now if you're in Texas. And Gridiron Scout is the premier way to get plays into practice and eliminate scout cards. Check it out at goroute.com. And finally, Titan Sensors gives you the analytics you need for your players on player development and understanding their physical needs. Check out all of our sponsors and our content at coachandcoordinator.com.